Hey friends, happy Thursday. I hope you guys had a wonderful Wednesday and you're ready to get to work on ELA today. So what we're going to do is we're going to be comparing your book that you've been reading, The Story of the Statue of Liberty, with some other books on Epic. So be sure to be prepared today. You have your reading book, your journal, and then you also are going to need to be on Epic today. We've added some books about the Statue of Liberty. So be sure that you're prepared, and then I want you to set up your journal just how I show you in the next picture, okay? So the very first thing I want you to do today is I want you to reread The Story of the Statue of Liberty. I really want you to become an expert on that. Yesterday, we ordered the events, we sequenced them. Today, I want you to reread it one more time for me just to be sure that you are an expert on that text, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is read what we're going to call today our old text, which is The Story of the Statue of Liberty. After you finish that, you're going to choose two of the texts on Epic about the Statue of Liberty. Any two you want. There's more than two on there. You can choose any two you want, and I want you to read through those. But you're going to be reading them like a detective today, okay? So I want you to set up your paper how I show you in the very next picture, and then we'll talk about exactly what I want you to do, okay? All right, so you guys have your paper set up, and you'll notice that it says old info and new info. So what I mean by that is after you've read the old story, the story we read first, when you're reading the new stories, I want you to be thinking about what you read that you already know from the first text and what you read that's brand new information. For example, if in one of the books you learn who the sculptor was, if in one of your new books you say, okay, I already know that Frederick Auguste Bartoli was the sculptor of the Statue of Liberty, you're going to put that over here in the column that says, that's old information to me. I learned that in the first book and I learned it in the new book. But if you read something in Epic that's brand spanking new, that you didn't know from the first text we read, where do you think you're going to put that? You're going to put that in the new information, okay? You're going to put that in something that you didn't know. Does that make sense? So what you're going to do is in your two columns, you should have things that you knew before, things that you read in both books, things that were the same, and then over here, things that are brand new information. What I'd like for you to try to get is at least 4 or 5 things in each column if you can, and then send a picture my way. And I'm super excited about something fun I have planned for you for Friday's activity for the Statue of Liberty, okay? So we're comparing two texts. One, we want to know what we already knew and what we're finding the same in both books, and what is different or what is new. Okay, now I'm going to show you some of the books that you might see in your Epic collection. One of the books that you might choose to read in your Epic collection is a book called Her Right Foot. And you can see there's the picture of the Statue of Liberty. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about that I want you to do. So as I flip through this book, it talks about France, and it says you may have heard of France. And then it says some of the information that it gives us. It says, did you know that the Statue of Liberty comes from France? Well, we already knew that, right? That's something that was in both books. So on my old information side, I'm going to put the statue, and I'm going to abbreviate it, of Liberty comes from France. And over here to the right, I want to say that was from Her Right Foot. That's the new book Her Right Foot. Okay? So that's old information. Now hang tight. I'm going to show you something that's new in this book that we can add to this side. Okay. So this is a new piece of information right here in this text. And it says, one day a Frenchman named Edouard de Liboyer had an idea. The idea was to celebrate 100 years the United States of America had been around by giving them a giant sculpture. Okay, so we did not know that this guy Edward had the idea for the statue. Now on the next page, it tells us what we already know, that he designed the statue, but what we didn't know was this guy right here. That was his idea. So where is that information gonna go? It's gonna go in the new side, okay? So I'm gonna write that this guy, Edward, I don't know, I gotta go back to my text. O-U-A-R-D. Had the idea for the statue. Okay, and that's new things. We did not learn that from our first text. So here are some other choices that you're gonna see in EPIC. If you'll look, there are tons of books about the Statue of Liberty. So your task is to choose 2 of these books and compare them with the original text and find out what's new information and what you already knew. Does that sound like something you can be successful at? I hope so. So our goal is to compare 2 texts. Please send me a picture when you're finished. If you have any questions at all, today for Zoom, I'll be available for questions. And then if you want to, you can just check in. We'll talk about some new information that we've learned. So please be prepared at 10:30, and I'll see you then, okay? Bye, readers.